Everybody really appreciate you being here. We'll open up meeting Commission on Social Staff African American Males, Wednesday, June 12th, 2019. Roll call.
Marty Corley, present. Willie Millsap,
Present.
Latanya Troutman, Joan Ganshaw,
Present.
Arthur Payne,
Present.
Tracy Tillman,
Present.
Lester Norvell,
Present.
Felice Kelly, Nyla Williams, Edward Carnes.
Present.
Feel fun me to call you Edward. Dennis Carroll,
Present.
Walter Cox,
Present.
Gene Simmons, and Albertine Allen. All right, we have a quorum. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8
Right.
present.
All right, everybody, hopefully everybody had a minute to look at the minutes of last meeting. If there are any changes, adjustments, comments, I'm open. Otherwise, I'm open for a motion to accept as written.
So moved.
To accept. Second.
Moved in second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes carried. Thank you. Okay. Moving on down, the treasurer's report.
So if you look on the back, we had 2 items subtracted since our last meeting, or added to this meeting. $5 for the basketball camp scholarships and $1,000 for our scholarship winner, Solomon Martin. That brings our balance down to $37,36.15, and we still have $1,000 coming out for the African Gardens to Laura, and that'll bring our balance down to $2,736.15. What I'll do is next month at our meeting, I'll have a breakdown of our spending for the last year and 6 months increments to kind of show you how we spend our money, just to give you something different to see how we spend our money. So.
All right, everybody look over the report. Open for any comments about the treasurer's report. If not, I'm open for a motion to accept as given.
So moved. Second.
Been moved in second to accept the report as given. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes carried.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Sorry.
All right, good. We'll move on. Very nice. Before we get to our first speaker, we got 2 speakers. That's why I'm glad we got a full schedule. Before we get to our first speaker, I wanted to get the scholarship situation out of the way. Marty has made me aware that the young man that was picked happens to be in Chicago today, so we're unable to deal with him physically, but I will let Marty say a few words about it to explain, and then we have to take a vote to put it in the minutes so that we can take the money out.
Correct.
Right.
So if you guys send the email out, reference our winner after we picked it, but myself, Commissioner Tillman, and Commissioner Troutman convened. We had 3 applicants, 3 good applicants. So after reading the applicants and scoring them based on our experiences and how we looked at them, we ended up picking our winner was Solomon Martin. He's a senior from Michigan City High School. He's a football player, and he will be going to Marion University to major in secondary education. I tried to get Wendell to try to give him a contract, a teacher's contract right now, but we have to at least wait till after he graduates. But anyway, so that's Solomon Martin. He was unable to be here. He's in Chicago, taking care of some business prior to him leaving for college. I asked to send his mom, but I believe she might be working since she's not here. So that is our scholarship winner. We do need to actually officially approve him as a board, so we'll need I need a motion and a vote to accept him.
So moved. Second.
You started to finish it.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Okay, well, seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? No? Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
beautiful. And this is what, about our 5th individual?
We've been doing a scholarship now for
3-4 years.
no, it should be about 5 years. Our first scholarship winner was Pastor Lane's son.
Right.
So he's been out of school for about 5, 6 years. So yeah, about 5 or 6 years, I believe. So
When I mention that, because that's a beautiful effort. You know, it's a beautiful effort to be trying. We have a struggle to find a black male every year. We just got to do something to get them to come out of the woodwork, because you know they're out there. I think it was 40 or 50 black males graduated this year. But one good thing, we find them and they're highly qualified, and we're proud to be helping them out. I don't know if she's going to watch it on tape. What I'd like for the secretary to do would be to put together his information and everything and send it to Mother Ashley.
okay.
So that I
I'll let her
know
know.
that who we picked and that we're still carrying on in her husband's name.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay, good. Before we don't get into things out of the way, because I think our speakers will probably take up a good part of our time, but they both have important issues to deal with. The only thing I wanted to touch on before we got to that, like I said at the last meeting, we finally got some things in the ground as far as African Gardens, and I've been praying for rain every day. I guess that's why it's been raining, because that way I ain't had to be out there watering, because it's out there and it's growing, but thank God for a little rain. But it's getting to the point where they said rain don't slow down, so we got to put together. I know a couple years ago when we first started, we had a little committee as far as relating to it, but you know that diminished over the 2 years that it took for us to get it in the ground. So what I'd like, I wanted to ask if we have a commissioner, and you don't have to have a green thumb because you're probably just overseeing the situation, but I'd like to have, like we did before, a member of the commission to be a chairman over a small group. We got to put together a group of volunteers to maintain the garden. Water it and do what we're going to be working with Edgewood School. I would think the principal there, because the principal leaving had said they have a class there and we're going to get them involved. But I want to have some adults and we got to get a master gardener. But the bottom line is anybody on the commission that would like to volunteer to help put together a small group and to oversee maintaining the garden for this year for sure. I mean, don't everybody jump at once. I mean, you know, somebody could say something. I don't know. I know, and I talked to, like I said the last meeting, I talked to Miss Jones, and you know, she's been excited about the project I was doing, and she definitely wants to be involved, but she needed some time to rest from some things that was happening within her family. Type of thing, think about it. I don't want to. The chair can appoint people, but I don't want to appoint somebody that might not want to be involved. That's why I'm asking for a volunteer.
I think Nyla showed some interest in it last year.
Pardon?
I think Nyla showed some interest in it
She was involved. Well, like I said, we had a committee. It was about 3 or 4 commissioners. So think about it, and I'll be getting back in touch with you. We got to do it sooner than later. I've talked to Reverend Ashley. I don't know if he had mentioned Reverend Collins, because it'd be beautiful if I could get some volunteers out of the Ministerial Association, because I really want them to partner with us. So if you could check and see if there's anybody at the churches that might want to volunteer to maintain the gardens for us, I appreciate it.
Okay.
So hopefully we can get that together in the next week or so. I'm not gonna wait till the next meeting. But okay, get that out of the way. So, all right, now we'll get into the official business. Our first speaker, Mr. Ricky Anderson, Russian for Yards. And we'll probably try to give each speaker 15 minutes or so. Hopefully we can get your information out so that we might have a few minutes to take care of our business at the end. Ms. Anderson, you have the floor.
I appreciate it being here. Greetings, everybody. I won't even take your 15 minutes, but this is a program we're trying to put together and get it going annually. It's called Rushing for Yards, and right now we're focusing on football players. There's 5 major benefits to it, I feel. The one was them being able to raise some money for their program. They need equipment, shorts, helmets, several things for traveling. 2, they'll be able to bond off the field. Other than just meeting at each other in school and practice, they can meet off the field. Before I finish the benefits, let me tell you the overall vision of it. We're going to get the football players to go out. We elected 50 individuals in the community between the senior citizens, disabled, veterans, single mothers or single fathers. We're going to nominate between different businesses and different churches. Once we get the 50 people on board, the boys are going to go out over several weekends and cut their yards. They'll go to the person's house, introduce themselves, cut the grass, clean up the garbage in the area, and go on to the next candidate. But the benefits, again, was them to being able to bond off the field, raise some money. 3, get to mingle and meet some new people in the community, building a better bond with the community. 4, it's something that they can put on their college resume, their life resume. And then 5, being able to develop some type of work ethic. A lot of these kids I've talked to have never pushed a lawnmower. Being in high school, not being able to have pushed a lawnmower or weed whacker at that stage, they're a little behind the game. And unfortunately, everybody's not going to be able to graduate and go to the pros. So I'm pretty sure a couple of them are going to have to find a job. So this program has several benefits. We're trying to get some councilmen and other people in the community to jump on board. We're looking for sponsors out of the businesses, and individual donations will go for water, gas for the lawnmowers. We're getting gift cards to purchase lawnmowers and weed whackers, and we're going to store them on a weekly basis and put them up for the winter, and then again it'll be an ongoing annual fundraiser. Just getting off the ground, so any input or insight or help will be highly appreciated. Going to give everybody a copy of it if you get time to read it over, or if you find in your heart to share it with some other companies or churches. It would be highly appreciated. All checks are made out to Michigan City High School football, and if you want to give a cash donation or a gift card, you can either reach out to myself, or we're going to nominate Mr. Marty Corley to be a cash bank. You guys can get your forms to him.
Yeah, it was too much money.
He says too much money.
Yeah, it was too much money.
And if they ask, at this time next year, we're probably going to do a tier, 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards, $1 amount. But for the first getting it going, if you donate $1, we're more than welcome to put your name on the banner. We're going to do a banner and announce all the sponsors during halftime of each home game. But are there any questions?
When you plan on starting it?
The first,
Shortly, or?
yes, the first day we're all getting together is going to be this Friday. The first group of guys are going out Friday and Saturday. It's going to cut each 6 yards per day. And right now we have 10 for Friday and Saturday. So if you guys got anybody in mind or any veterans, we hadn't found any veterans to step up. Read it over and feel free.
Well, it sounds like an outstanding project, especially to get the young men involved. And you push scholarship as well as work. You know, you encourage them to stay in school, do better, and all that type of thing. I know I was just looking at, as far as everybody got one, so individually they could do something, but although I was just looking at our situation and what I like to propose, just off the fact that you're trying to do something with young, and I know it's black men involved on quite a few problems. I would like to recommend that the commission will give a couple $100 toward the effort. I mean, that's one thing we have been in a position to do, thank God. Does anybody have any problems with us making a $200 donation?
No.
Well, I'm open.
Do you want a motion?
A motion.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
I have a question. Yeah, I'm Vince Vote. No, not a question about this. I'm sorry, I jumped in too soon.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other comments other than the fact it's a type project that we want to be involved in, encouraging and supporting young men, especially black men, to do the best they can to be of service and to do something positive for themselves. Did you have a comment?
Yeah, I have a question.
I
But
do.
we gotta vote on this first.
Oh,
We have a
okay.
motion. We have a motion.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Okay.
And what, since you deal with Marty, maybe Marty can get with you and get with the control.
Yeah,
office
just make the check out to Michigan City High School
So
football.
we can,
Okay, I'll
we
let
can
him know.
get a check sooner than later.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, the
My question,
comments.
Mr. Anderson, is it possible that seniors can get preference top of the list?
Yes,
Because they fall asleep early, you know?
yeah,
So seniors will get top
yes.
priority? Okay.
I had a question. First of all, have you reached out to any of the big box stores, the Lowe's and Menards and Home Depot, maybe to donate some of them?
We hadn't gone to any of the big boys yet. I wanted to get as many people on board first, and maybe somebody had a better angle with that.
I have no input there, but in my case, they asked me the other day $50 to give them to burn some fireworks in the community for 4th of July, so I'd definitely give you the 50. So the fireworks, you can get that 50. You can get that 50.
I agree. Well, Marty's the cash man.
No, it'll go to. It'll go to him. If you give it to me to get to him, you can't get to
I mean,
him.
if you want to, but I would like,
Okay, so you have the information. Okay.
this is just anonymous.
So you get credit for that.
Okay.
Any other comments, Sir John?
Mr. Anderson, so you're identifying seniors and aged individuals or disabled individuals. Are you doing one time or are you coming back? Because those yards keep growing all summer long.
The yards keep growing. That's, it was initially started off to do it one time.
Mm-hmm.
We had several so far called back and asked if we can keep going. So we're gonna run it until school starts,
Okay.
and they'll donate. There's gonna be a one-time free, and then the ones that want us to come back, they can do a small donation and then go to the boys. But a couple of guys have already asked, what's the potential of them, this being a job
Job for them.
And so we're gonna try to roll it over and do leaf removal and possibly snow removal also.
Sounds good. Any other comments or questions or?
Pass it to him, please.
And you know, as you develop it, or anything that we can do to help out, or, you know, if you got things you want to bring to the public, we have public access, so you can come to the commission for any updates, or you're asking for volunteers, or anytime you want to put it out in the system, you can use us
I appreciate
to
it.
help promote it.
Just another seed they were trying to get together on 20 minutes a week, but at the end of a couple months, the guys will know how to change a tire, change oil, and read a tape measure. Screw guns and all that. So much we can't do because of insurance, but definitely learning how to read a tape measure and change a tire. Because after talking to some of these young men, it's like, if it's not a phone or a video game, it's kind of limited. So
Yeah, anything
thank
we
you
can
for your
do,
time,
anything we
and
can do, just let us know.
I appreciate it.
Do you want to speak to the camera though, Mr. Anderson?
I'm camera shy. No.
Well, so that so people may want to donate directly to the
How
program.
can they get in touch with you?
Yeah.
Thank you, Michigan City, for supporting the community and the football team.
How can they call you or get in touch?
219-243-4529. Coach Phil Mason and all the football coaches are on board if you personally know any of them. But it's on Facebook. It's called Rushing for Yards. A lot of people saying it's a good idea, but as far as actually jumping on board and pushing go, I don't know if they're camera shy or trigger shy, but I appreciate you guys jumping off the barrel right away, donating and stepping up for the cause. I really do. And I'm sure the community and the boys will. If you guys know any veterans, senior citizens, disabled people, get on the website, Rushing for Yards on Facebook, and recommend them for us to go and cut the grass. Appreciate your time and appreciate your help. I can feel this is going to get the ball rolling a little faster and quicker.
We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Now we go to Mr. Morgan, who is a little bit, he wanna ask us for something probably. Instead of us asking, Brother Morgan, you have the floor.
Can
How are
I?
you, Colin?
Do you need to-
Good, thanks.
you need to give me whatever?
Yeah.
Now, before you do that, Brother Morgan, you remember a year or two ago, we was thinking about a project and we got priced out of it? Brother Morgan.
Priced out.
Go ahead, good brother.
Good afternoon.
Good
How are you? Some of you I know, some of you I know well, and others I will get to know even better after all of this. Brother Payne, thank you. It's been about 18 months since I presented right in this room. I'm going to thank a couple other people just because I've been doing some work here that has been probably some of the most gratifying work that I've done professionally. And I'll tell you why in a minute. And without putting them on the spot, Reverend Carnes, I'm going to give you a shout out. Thank you very much. Mr. Riddle, thank you. Continue to work with him. There's a young man that I just met, and I look forward to working with him more extensively. Councilman Simmons. And this young man I have worked with, whether it's the Rotary Club or any of the other several commissions or committees that he works on. And he did me, there's service that he offered. I'm not going to put him on the spot, but you know what I'm talking about. Thank you very much.
You can take it.
So, about 18 months ago, I presented here because Brother Payne knew about the work that I did, and he wanted me to present to you. And for those of you who remember, I'm an urban planner by practice. I have done work over the last 30 plus years in terms of doing regional plans, long-range plans. What will our cities, neighborhoods, and regions look like 20, 30, 40 years from now? I left that and started a business consulting firm focusing on communities that are under stress. And most of those times, it's usually communities of color. So Brother Payne asked me to come and see if we could do some work together around young men in Michigan City. He said I got priced out. The business model that I have is usually my friends who work in African communities say they do pro bono work. I say that I tithe. Those of you in the room who are familiar with our churches know about tithing. So I too often work for free. And my wife asks the question, who pays my health insurance and things like that. So it wasn't so much that you got priced out, is that my business model had to change. But sometimes when there is something that you need to work on, things work out. Because I'm back, and I did some significant work last fall. There's a plaza that's been planned for the downtown of Michigan City. It's at, so envision with me, those of you who are geographically challenged, we have someone who knows every corner of the city, 7th and Franklin. There's a CVS right there. 7th Street goes east-west. There's Franklin and there's Washington, and there are two patches of grass that's right there now. We're all there. Mm-hmm. That space is being planned to be the living room of Michigan City. I use the word living room because that's where we entertain people, we get our guests, we get our people who are in our family to entertain ourselves there. I was brought in because this plaza is for all of Michigan City. And I went out and tried my very best to reach out to as many people across Michigan City as I could. I I don't know many people in Michigan City, so I had to depend on people who knew people who then created a relationship with me, trusted me that I had my heart where this project is, and they then reached out. Brother Clarence, can I put you on the spot?
Sure.
I had to reach out to people of color, and this is why I'm here. People of color, and let me tell you that the only reason why I was successful with that is because Reverend Carnes and a few other people went beyond the call of duty. We went to some meetings where it was just us, right? And then we called out and we asked more people to come, and we came back and it was just us again, right? But it was important because if this plaza, and I'm going to talk about the plaza in a minute, if this plaza is for Michigan City, it's also for the people in the small churches that you're a part of. It's for the people who live in the neighborhoods that might not typically come down to 7th and Franklin. The nice restaurants that are down here, it might not be necessarily the place that people who are in the neighborhoods feel that, you know what, I feel like some food, I'm going to go down there. But if it's the living room of the city, we have to ensure that everyone who lives in the city feels that, you know what, I have some visitors from out of town and they're asking what can we do. The plaza has something going on, so that's an option for us. So we went out and we met with people, we had surveys for people, and Reverend Carnes was instrumental in my getting into the small churches in your city to be able to get some feedback. So that was critical. We also reached out to the Latino population. We translated our survey into Spanish because there are people who call Michigan City home, but English isn't their first language. I'm not talking about the current, political climate in terms of how we see people. We see people in ways that is inclusive and not exclusive. So we made that effort and we got a return on the investment that we made. And there's a report that has a list of ideas about if Michigan City builds a plaza with these programmatic things for our kids, for people who live here, for the people who are older, people with disabilities, people who are homeless. These are all people that I met with, talked with, shared with, listened to, and got their ideas. And it's all of that that cumulatively went into a report that we then sent to people who are architects, landscape architects, and they came up with what this plaza could be. So I'm going to pause there and ask the question of you. Is there anything that you want to ask me before I go into the substantive part of the work? Okay, so we had all of these ideas, and now we came up with pretty pictures to reflect what that's going to look like. 7th and Franklin. 7th and Franklin. This is Franklin. This is Washington. Across here is 7th Street. The plan is to have the plaza on both sides of 7th Street between Franklin and Washington, and 7th Street is going to be closed. 7th Street is going to be closed, that all of this becomes a plaza. Now, what is a plaza? We had to make the distinction that a plaza is not a park. We have parks in our city, and there are arguments about the parks that we have in our city because too often there are parks in our city, especially in our communities, that need some love, right? So I'm not here to argue that point. I'm here to agree that there are parks in our city where our kids go to that need more resources. Okay. So we're going to move from that point and say that there's a plaza that we're planning, and what I would like to say from a planner's perspective is that I work with a lot of cities in Northwest Indiana, across the city of Chicago and beyond, and Michigan City has just tremendous potential because each city in Northwest Indiana competes with the others. Why do we compete? Because the people who live here now have choices around, do I stay here? Do my kids and my grandkids stay here? What are we doing to ensure that the place that I call home competes with all the other cities that are looking for your residents to come there to live, to play, or to work, right? So I see this as one of the investments in our downtown to benefit the entire city. Now we know that if this works well, the shop owners here and here will work well. They will benefit. The thing that I'm going to ask you at the end of my presentation is what can be in this for you. There is a responsibility that you have as a commission looking out for this particular group of people who call Michigan City home. Your responsibility is to look out on their behalf. There's a councilman here who has a particular geography in the city. He also is responsible for looking after the city and his ward to be fiscally prudent and look to see that the investments that are made can capture not only today, but what happens in the future. Okay. So this, we are making sure that when things happen here, you, your kids, and your people who are your neighbors can feel that they have a right down here just as anybody else does. So what are we going to do here? There are ideas to be able to have here a stage. That stage can have any type of things that you would typically see a stage have. Live concerts, dance, any of those kind of cultural activities that you would say, let me come and sit here and enjoy. I'm going to use Chicago as an example. Do any of you go to or are familiar with Millennium Park? Mm-hmm. When Millennium Park was being made, I live in a community that's probably 99% black, right? Made a choice to live there to support my community. I was not sure that Millennium Park was going to have an impact on my community. Let me tell you though, I was wrong, and this is why. If you ever go downtown and Taste of Chicago, Jazz Fest, Blues Fest, Gospel Fest, any of these fests that we have, any differences that we have as communities in Chicago, we put aside those differences and come down to Millennium Park and say, it's time to have a good time, it's time to listen to some good gospel music, it's time to eat some good food, and we call Millennium Park our living room, right? That's not to say we still don't have issues as communities there, right? So this is a stage, and that's what we're going to have here. Big play lot for kids. There's a splash pad for kids. During the winter, we will have winter activities. Ice skating. During the other months, there's a lot of roller skating that we'll have. There's chessboards. There's all different types of things that we will have here that probably 240 days of the year, there will be all of these programmatic activities that will be downtown. It will always be open for the public. Always. Now, someone might say, I would like to have an event there, and they might rent out part of it. That is how we will generate monies, but the park will never be closed to people of Michigan City. If they want to come and have with their kids in the splash pad. There's an area here where seniors can come and get some shade and just sit down and drink some coffee. We're going to have food trucks. We're going to have all different types of food, all different types of activities. On a Thursday night, you'll be able to watch movies. All of those things are ideas that came out of the outreach that we did, not only in our communities, but in all communities. There's going to be the type of interaction that when we went to people with disabilities, they wanted to make sure that when they came down, people with disabilities who can't hear, people with disabilities who can't see, there's a type of sensory activities that are there, that when they come, their experience will be such that they can call the plaza home, right? So these are all the different types of things that will happen at the plaza. How will we run it? This will be not run by the city. We're setting up a 501c3 with a board, and that board will be responsible for making decisions about how we look for funds. It's the responsibility of the plaza, executive director, and people hired to be able to seek their own funds. It will not be the city's responsibility. We will ask the city for a small donation every year, but primarily the responsibility of running this plaza will be going out and seeking funds every year. The responsibility of the board and the executive director who's running this, that will be their responsibility. That board and the makeup of that board should also be reflective of Michigan City. We'll probably have 12 or 15 people on that board, and some people who will be there will be someone from Michigan City. They have a fiscal responsibility, so they have a seat. There will be a focus here from an educational perspective, so Michigan City Schools will have a seat. Main Street, who puts on a lot of activities here now, will have a seat. So there will be seats who are there that regardless of the political climate in the city, those seats will be there. But then there will be a few other seats, because what we want to do, if 30% of the folks who live in Michigan City are of color, one should look to the board and say, aha, I see a board that looks like Michigan City. There are almost 10% that are Latino. I don't want people who are Latino to come down to the plaza and feel that there's nothing programmatic here. The people who are making decisions here are not making decisions in my behalf, so they need to see representation too. We're talking about youth. There's going to be a committee of young people who need to come, but need to have their voices there also. So these are all structural things that we're putting in place, that it's not just, that plaza is not for me because I don't see anyone. No, we're putting things in place that the decisions that are being made on behalf of everyone. So is it that this commission has a seat? I don't know. We've been talking about that? Probably. There are other people who advocate on behalf of people of color. Probably they have a seat. So is it the NAACP? I don't know. We've been talking about that. So probably of the 15 seats, we have 3 people of color representing. But believe me, we can't just have people sitting there who just look like us. They have to be there reaching back out to the community to say, what do you want here, right? So the councilman and myself had a conversation about who might the person be who sits on the board, and I have given him a charge to be able to say, we need some names. So I am here because I need to share where we are. I'm going to take a couple more minutes to say this. Over the next couple of months, we're going to be approaching the city council to make a vote. There's a cost to this, and we're going to float a bond. There's money there to be able to respond to the bond that we're going to float. We are meeting with all the councilmen to be able to say, this is where we are, this is a commitment that we're asking of you. You too need to be able to say to your constituents, Are there any questions that you have that need to be answered? Because if I make a commitment for this plaza for you, I need to ensure that your questions are answered, and that's why I'm here. So, Councilman Simmons, he has some folks who are naysayers. It's my responsibility to say to Councilman Simmons, I can be there to try to answer some questions that you don't have to take the heat from it, because we're trying to be as transparent as possible. So over the next couple months, we're going to be presenting to them, and then if the answer is yes, it'll probably take another 18 months to be able to get it all built. But what I'm hoping is that between now and the next 18 months, there are things that can be done, people that we can approach, communities that we can say, we would like to be able to have you know where this is. So there's still a lot of work, a lot of outreach that we're going to do. I'm going to stop there and take questions.
Well, I said further.
Go ahead, keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
My question was, the undercut always was that the farmer's market would be there on Saturdays from May to October. The only area that I see that would be, looks like able to accommodate them is a grassy area. And that would cause a lot of damage to that turf if you got the market, the vans and the stands, and then the foot traffic. If there's another place for that, please point it out.
The farmer's market is over here.
On the market is on the next block over.
No. I'm saying they said they were going to move the farmer's
they're
market.
gonna move it?
That's what they're telling us at the farmer's market.
Oh, really?
Yeah, farmer's market, I know it's on 8th in Washington. And they were talking about moving it because they kept telling the farmers, the vendors, as they come out, that they're going to have, you'll have restrooms. And that'll come with the plaza. So that's what I'm hearing.
So
I just don't see where it's going to fit.
okay. Let me back up, because I didn't realize that so I didn't listen to your question properly.
Okay.
So let me start again. Initially, we felt that as one of the programmatic things,
I heard food trucks.
so there's food trucks, and that we could have done the farmers market. People were excited about that. The reality, though, is that we can't ensure that every Saturday morning, when the farmers market needs to be there, and the commitment that we make to farmers, that we would not disrupt them.
Okay.
So the current plan is to say that we put an idea out there. We thought it was going to be a good idea. Now we're rethinking that
Okay.
to feel that I don't think it's a good idea.
Makes sense.
So let us keep them where they are, because we made an investment in the area. We now need to shore up that investment. But what we might do with the farmers is say that on a Thursday evening, we might ask you, can you come and do something at the plaza at any time? So we haven't excluded the farmers, but the presentation that
Pretty much
we
looks like they've been excluded. I mean, I'm not a farmer. Pretty much looks like they've been excluded. I wouldn't try to window dress it or sell them that bill of goods, because there's no place for them there. And their option, of course, would be South Bend or something. That would be there, because these guys are real farmers.
No,
What I'm talking about.
So
Excluded from that project,
That's right.
not from 8th Street.
No, not Main Street, but that's what I mean, this project. So they can stay on 8th Street. Maybe we just try to float some kind of agreement or arrangements with the city or the property owners where we can provide better restrooms or something for them. Maybe a bank of porta potties as opposed to that one. That's the concern right now. It's not the location.
So they're looking for a new location?
No. This was proposed to them.
No.
No.
Initially,
and it wasn't. I think it was an idea,
Okay.
because even in the presentations that I made to people who are here and in the community, we had farmers market in it, right? We're taking that back.
Okay. That makes sense, because it just doesn't look like it worked. That's why I raised the question, because the farmers will still come on their Saturdays.
Oh, okay.
I'm certain of that, because they're making money. And that's why they're here. It's not, theirs is not pro bono.
Or tithing.
No, they don't time. Not here.
the question I wanted to raise in our conversation, I can appreciate an update on the plaza, because it hasn't really been exposed so you get opportunity to really expose it. But in our conversation, the one reason that I really wanted you to come is because you talked to me about entrepreneurs. I was thinking about Black males getting an opportunity to set up some type of entrepreneurship program. So like I said,
let me talk to that.
that's what I was expecting you to talk more so about the entrepreneur possibility.
Let me talk
than
about that.
so much.
Okay. So you didn't want to.
Well, you know, that's beautiful because we haven't had that, so everybody, and not just us, but the community.
If you're gonna build something in Michigan City, it has to be inclusive. It has to represent the demographics of the whole city, which is us.
Without a doubt.
So
This is, when
the
first talking, it was about entrepreneurs in terms of some funding to help them get started and things that.
What percentage of minorities would get contracts for the construction, what have you?
But we weren't talking about that. I'm talking about, you explain the entrepreneurs in the project itself.
Okay.
So
that's what I was concerned about.
I'm going to speak to the programmatic side, the construction side.
Just
So
entrepreneur thing.
one of the things that I'm concerned in the standpoint that I need ideas to stay on the table, is that, and I mentioned it, the restaurants that are on and around the plaza, if this goes well, they do well. Okay? So my thing is that who maintains the plaza? Who does things like the maintenance of it, the security of it, and things like that? Because we are not going to burden either the police department nor the parks department, so we will hire additional folks. My thing is that we can hire people and they will probably make a little bit more than minimum wage, or we can ask the question, who in the community does maintenance work or does security work or has a potential to be in a position to start a business around maintenance or security or any other opportunities that will be needed when hundreds of people are downtown multiple days a week throughout the year, right? We're going to do ice skating. Who rents ice skates? Who sharpens ice skates? Who does roller skating? All of the things that we're doing in terms of entertainment. Who might be the directors who control kind of bringing in talent and things like that? So who are those people? So one of the things that I've been doing is meeting with the banks. So I met with Horizon Bank. I've talked to Horizon Bank, and we're pulling others to be able to ask the question. There might be people in our community, not might, there are people in our community who might be able to go from being a small business person in your neighborhood or in the community to be able to say, I have a business plan. I would love to be able to move that business plan from what happens in my basement, my garage, or my community to be able to work down here. So in meeting with the banks, what my plan is, and I've spoken to some of them, is that can we have a series of workshops that will review what business plans are about, what the opportunities look like, that we can do some microloans to people who would like to start businesses, that we can say between now and the 18 months, if you have an issue with credit, we have 18 months to work it out. Those banks will be there to be able to say, we have, as part of our mission, and we have spoken about reinvestment that banks need to do in the communities and microloans. How can we get them to be responsive to being able to do that? Spoke to the Chamber of Commerce. They have now reached out to a couple of people in the community. So we are doing all of these things that I can ensure that when I meet with you, I can say that not only are we trying, but we're trying harder and harder and harder to ensure that we have every opportunity that when this goes well, our community does well. both from the standpoint of attending the plaza, participating in the plaza, but being part of the entrepreneurial success that the plaza might offer. So that's some of what we've been working on.
Right. And the reason I was interested when we talked about it, I don't know if you remember, a few years ago, the state, I guess it was the state, had entrepreneur training here in Michigan City. A few years ago, they had where you come and learn how to put your business plan together and market your business plan, which I participated in it because I was recruiting people. I wasn't planning on setting up a business. But what happened was, as I know a few blacks, quite a few blacks went to it, and they put together a business plan, but once they got the business plan together, the government don't give startup money, so they couldn't get anything from the banks for startup. That's why I was interested when Rev. Morgan said that they were trying to set up a system where there could be money available. Because I know there's blacks in the community that had business plans and was serious about it and became very discouraged, I was too, that the banks wasn't responsive. And that's a historical thing.
So I'll even add this, that some of the things that are going to be built here, like kiosks, that if you have something that you sell at home or in your garage, we're going to be building kiosks that on any given day you can come and for a nominal fee, you can rent the kiosk out. But it was, from an educational standpoint, we have approached A.K. Smith, because they fabricate things in metal, in wood, in glass, that our kids can learn how to fabricate something that will be in the plaza that's in Michigan City. That way we can, at best, at least try to be able to ensure that our local schools have an opportunity to not only build something, but design it from scratch, right? So their culinary school is also interested in being able to, so one of these buildings will have a kitchen that the culinary school could potentially say, we can come down and be like what we do at school, but sell to people who are there. So we're working all those things out to be able to have not only people who are attending, but people who are in school and learning things, to be able to take what you learn and be a part of this.
You see, I was going to tell you, I think we've run over our 15 minutes, but I think it was beneficial to the extent of finding out, we've heard talk of the plaza, but at least people on the commission are aware of what's going on, and I think the public got a better understanding of what's happening. Like I said, my personal thing was that entrepreneur thing, trying to help blacks that can get in the business, and we'll continue to talk about that. Matter
Can
of
I
fact,
take a couple more questions?
Yes, question. And I would like the rest of the board to follow up on my question here. First of all, thanks for your presentation. Very impressive. My first question is, you mentioned, or you touched base with how the board would be set up. And you also mentioned that there will be an executive director of the board. Who chooses the director?
So we are putting together a 501c3 now.
Right.
And it'll be a search. Believe me, the person who needs to run this needs to be, so are you familiar with Main Street? Who puts on all these things?
Right.
This person needs to be able to not only put on all of these events, but they also need to be able to say, I know people across Michigan City who have money that I can go to and say, we need this money because we don't have a steady stream of funds, so they're always fundraising. So that executive director will need to do that. We'll put together what a job description would look like, and the board that we put together will hire that executive director.
Volunteer board.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so we're looking at an 18-month window, correct?
So the board is going to have to be put in place, I would say, in the next couple months.
Which is why I brought that up. It's going to be a paid position for the director and the voluntary board.
Correct.
The other question is hours of operation of the plaza. You mentioned that it's going to be year-round, all type of activities. What will be, there's got to be operating hours, because I don't see the plaza being open 24/7.
Correct.
So at this time, and I know we're in the early stages, is there a set hours of operation?
I would imagine that because of things like noise regulations, it'll have to close at a particular time. So if we have a concert downtown at the plaza, what is the time that we have to stop? And I don't know what the answer to that question might be.
Because it's early.
One of the things that people ask for is that we would love for faith institutions to have like a choir sing-off, for instance. So is that a Sunday morning, a Saturday morning? I would say that it will open at a time that's reasonable.
Okay.
But the times haven't been set yet.
Yeah, but because even Millennium Plaza is not 24/7, so I'm sure that our plaza has operating hours.
Yes.
And the final question is concession stands. There will be possibility of a food truck being able to apply to get a permit to be at the plaza?
Plural.
Approval of the board?
No, plural, food trucks.
Right, okay.
Food trucks.
To be at the plaza?
Oh, yes. That has been a big ask.
Because there are neighborhood restaurants on Franklin Street, and I don't know if they're gonna frown on.
So, I would say this, that if hundreds of people start coming downtown, they will not be able to support everyone. If hundreds of people come down, I want to make sure that someone who comes down, who can't afford to sit in one of the restaurants now, can have an opportunity to be able to get an ice cream cone for their son or daughter, and they don't have to worry that the cost of that ice cream or their food is something. So there'll be food trucks, there'll be things like barbecue cook-offs, there'll be fried chicken, all of these are, that's a personal thing there. All of those opportunities will be there for affordable food, because people who are financially poor, they might be culturally rich, financially poor, I don't want that person to come down here and feel that I'm going to be ashamed because I can't afford this for my son nor daughter. So we're working out all these relationships with how do we make sure that someone can come down and not be afraid to participate and feel embarrassed that it's too expensive for them. So all of those things are also being looked at.
So all concessions have to be board approved? I mean, you just can't pull up there with your truck and just start selling goods?
Not at all.
Gotcha. Okay.
Any other questions?
Brother Carnes, come on.
Don't just make up. No, we're not saying, because we still
No,
got
I just have to show
deal with some of our own stuff. But yeah, I really appreciate it, and like I said, it gave the community and us a better understanding, a better picture of it. But what I'm concerned about, and I'd like for when y'all get a little bit more definite with it, for you to come back, is that entrepreneur thing is going to be a reality in terms of blacks that have business plans, and I know there's some in town.
So
We'll
that's a
have
definite
access,
yes.
we'll have access to the banks, supplying that startup. That's something that myself personally, I think the commission would definitely be receptive to, especially as we talk about black males.
And it might also be that if you are going to have a seat on the board as a commission, I want to come back and talk to you about that.
Well, I got a lot of people that would like to sit down on the board. I could pick all the commissioners qualified. So just, you say that the commission be there, and we'll put somebody on there. If that's what the situation is. And I feel more comfortable if somebody from the commission is sitting there, if you're talking about dealing with the black community.
Yes.
Because normally the history is when we do things in Michigan City, we don't have a lot of blacks sitting there.
Yeah, and I don't want it to be.
And I'm definitely concerned about that.
There are a handful, and so I'm not just now going to be, from the community when I say this. There's a handful of us who sit on a whole bunch of boards, right? So what I would like is for us to seriously think about who else has the community's heart and can have the capacity to sit on the board, that we have the opportunity to spread the leadership beyond just the people who are on all of these boards.
That's an extremely hard thing to do, be able
that's
to
right
look
down.
at a black and tell whether or not the black is the
And
type
thank you.
black that would do that. The only way you can address that, as far as I'm concerned, is to open up the door, to have the seat there, and there's the black that can handle it's gonna come forward.
I think what he's saying is, though, somebody that's already on the board, not on too many boards.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem you got in Michigan City. You got a few blacks on a lot of things, which is unfortunate.
And then Seventh
That's
Street,
systematic.
that's within walking distance of Boulevard Gardens.
Oh, without a doubt.
You see, so that's something in itself that's gonna have to be taken into some serious consideration,
Hey,
along with the homeless.
there's a lot of
I've met
dynamics.
with the homeless,
There's a lot of dynamics.
and believe me,
I mean, these are just things that need to be considered.
Okay, time. I appreciate it, and you'll be back.
Yeah.
And will I even look at the time? I think it's probably what I wanted to do is probably might be somebody at the commission that would have something important they wanted to share. I think you had said you had something. Let's try to get that in right quick. We'll run a couple minutes over. Dustin, did you have anything?
Yes, I got something real quick. I put down the last month, I believe it was St. John Vacation Bible School, was going to be in June. It's not June, it's July the 22nd through July the 26th. And I had down June, and I got hold of the secretary, but evidently she hasn't.
So that's St. John's,
It's St. John's United Church of Christ Vacation Bible School is July the 22nd through the 26th. That was my error, my mistake, and I'm sorry about that. I take responsibility for that.
Reverend, did you have anything?
So another day, I have something from the ministers next week.
Now,
Yes, just a follow-up in regards to the barbershop talk in regards to discussing child support matters or issues. I'm passing around a flyer. It's a draft. I have already reached out to the owner of Marvelous Cuts. That would be the first barbershop I would like to go into to set this up. And I have a date for June 29th, and I'm just waiting back for confirmation from the owner to make sure that that's a good day to come into his shop. I have his full support. He thinks it's a great idea. So I just wanted to make sure, since I'm new with all of this, to find out if this is the correct formality with the flyer that I prepared, and then to give it to the secretary, and we can try to get this on social media and possibly put it in the newspaper. But this will also tie in at no expense for the newspaper, because this will also be put on, since I'm with the 40 Child Support Office as well, so we'll be able to take care of that portion.
any comments or relative to that? The only thing I would have to say, since this is a new effort, so there's no format set, so, you structure it around what you think is appropriate.
Okay.
In that sense, the only thing I would like, and maybe that's a selfish thing, if you can mention the commission somewhere.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, we're at the bottom.
It is.
That's a bottom.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yep, we're on
Oh,
that.
okay, with that, cool. That's all I was, because I didn't look at the top. But perfect, beautiful. So, just go ahead and you talking about using all the media, beautiful. Whatever you think will publicize it and get it to as many people. It's a committee, that's why I was saying, it's a commission thing, and you're a commissioner, so it's your project.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. And this is beautiful. I mean, this is a start that I think it's gonna be outstanding.
Thank you.
Because it ain't about how many people you get there, it's the fact that you get the information out and we build on that. So this is keep going. All right. Joan, did you have anything pertinent you'd like to share?
Just the Drug-Free Partnership had a lunch or a breakfast and learn, and that went well last Wednesday. So
Good.
just remember that it's the first Wednesday of the month. The meeting has been moved. The general meeting is at 8 in the morning. There will not be a July meeting because it falls during the holiday. So next meeting will be in August.
All All right. Les, did you have any?
Yeah, I had I was gonna talk about people dying, man. You know, but it's not enough time. Just sharing some stuff that I spent 3 or 4 days talking to the mayor, the chief of police, and the chief came to my house. We just had something happen, and they're making a profit out of me, man, because I keep telling them somebody's gonna get killed in Eastport. Then I get back from South Bend the other night and find out that there was somebody killed in Eastport. See, I want to talk to Pastor Carnes about something too, but I'll get with him. But it's a mess, and like I said, it's not getting any better. And I say that day in and day out, that it's not getting any better. So.
One thing about it, you're involved with the people that are supposed to be responsible, so keep up.
And I mean, you know, like I said, the chief has been excellent, the mayor's talked, but I'm getting some conflicting things. That's when I want to talk to Pastor Carnes. I've heard, you know, and you know, I go to the source
Right.
and find out from that person. You know, I don't want to get it secondhand, but it's a mess, man. And this is ongoing, you know, so it's.
Keep on it. Willard, did you
No,
have?
I'll say my question next week due to the time.
All right, Gene?
Just that we have the Youth Leadership Academy starting here in 2 weeks. We have about 50 kids signed up. So, and then also if you guys get a chance on Tuesdays and Thursdays, LTG. We know we sponsored some kids for the basketball camp, but they now have a basketball league during the summer. It runs about 6 to I think 10. If you get a chance to go out, they have about 6 or 7 teams that play on those nights. It'd be nice to go out. I mean, they play at Barker Middle School. There's a fee to get in, but it'd be nice to see some community support with these the young men. William Walker, who we all know well, is a graduate of Michigan City High School and played overseas some pro ball. Come back home and to help start this league. And Brandon Williams, who is an employee of Michigan City area schools and also involved in the basketball program at the high school, is also one of the 2 people putting it together. So far so good. So if you guys get a chance to go out, just support.
When did you say the basketball league?
They play Tuesdays and Thursday nights at Barker. From I think the first game starts at I want to say 6 or 7. They play 3 games, so I think it's 7, 8, 9. So yeah, I think it's 7 to 10 because they play 3 games each night.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay,
What
now-
time, Mark? What time?
Oh, I'm sorry, 7. I believe they start. It's 7 to 10. Cause they play 3 games, so 7, 8, 9. So yeah, they should be gone by 10. So 7 to 10, yes sir.
Do you know if it's there an age limit or
What, to get in?
for the games?
To get in?
Play.
To
Oh, they
play.
play. They've already got their team
They
set.
got team
Yeah, they
set
got team
already,
set.
okay.
So
It's a little league. The only thing that I had, I was talking to one of the fire commission members last night. We need some black applicants for the fire department. They got a test, I think, coming up in August. And I'm not just talking about males, females. It would be beautiful. I know the fire service is not what everybody would like to be involved in. It's not dangerous and everything, but it's a beautiful job, beautiful benefits, and a good future. So I told the commissioner I was talking to last night that I would mention it today, that we need, we're still, it's a lot better since they've been dealing with consent decrees and got a lot better in terms of division and diversity, but we still have a struggle getting black applicants. So I'm just making a plea for any young person that's out of school and whatever and might be working a minimum wage job, take a chance and apply for the fire department. It's a test and everything we have to go through, but if you can endure it, it's a good job. That's all I can say. And like I said, we want to, they struggle sometimes just to have enough minorities on the minority list. The minority to them is everybody, Mexican whites, but I'm just making a plea to black females and black males. If you're looking for a good position, get an application, try out for the fire department.
With a pension?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
outstanding. So,
Arthur, just as you're talking about black firemen, Ralph Mosley, who was a longtime fireman,
Right.
lost one of his sons at 44 years old. So Kevin Mosley, people knew him as Bigfoot,
Right.
passed away. So his services last
They
Saturday.
definitely have our condolences. But if you know anybody, what is it, 21, what's the age?
21.
21. If you know any black male or female
Mhm.
that are not working or might have a minimal job, try to encourage them to take a chance, go to fire department, get an application, fill it out, and try. Now the police the same, you know. If you think about the police, get an application. Let's be involved. You know, we got to represent.
Mr. Chair, who's black on the Fire Merit Commission?
Just told you.
I didn't hear.
Charles Williams.
Williams.
West Side?
Baker.
Charles Williams.
He's the only one?
He's chairman.
But is he the only one though?
Yeah,
There's only three commissioners.
because
Whatever.
my girl is not on it.
Wasn't she on there for you?
She's not on there anymore.
Okay, yeah.
So Charles.
Charles, but he's really committed.
She can submit a paperwork.
Yeah, Charles is committed and reaching out. So I told him definitely we try to encourage any young blacks. Like I said, female. We're about black males, but at this point, female or male. If you know anybody 21 or so that's looking for a good opportunity, a good future, so tell them to try to find a pension. Right, look at Willie. He's skated for about 30 years. 35 years.
Let's get them all.
And he's still here. So, all right, good meeting.
Give me my.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor, say by saying aye.
Right.
Good.